And originally I wanted to ask the council to adopt the transparency tools that the governor's office created for use of local governments. But I was very happy to talk with our city controller, Mr. Melzik, who tells me that this data is already available and that he's going to take a look at some of the matrices that the city already has to file with the state and with SEMCOG, and that we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, I want to clarify something.
Sure.
I don't necessarily want to use these tools if it's going to create a lot of work for you.
Right.
Is there some other tools that you have that'll essentially achieve the same?
Right. Using Munetrix and via SEMCOG, we have our F65 data that is a good stepping.
Explain what that nomenclature is.
Sure. So the F65 data is information that we've already sent to the state, and we have it in a database going back from 2005 forward to 2009.
And can you use that without going to reinvent the wheel?
Okay. The way that what the state has asked for is a little bit different than how local municipalities use the data. So we talked to Dave Berger from SEMCOG. We're going to be meeting with him next week. I believe it's next week, right, Jim? Yeah. We're going to be meeting with him next week to go over the data and to show how we can cut our data to make sure that it's in compliance to what the governor's asked for.
With what the state's already requesting.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because we want to be on the front edge of this. We want to show the governor that we're coming to the table, that we're being transparent as possible, not only for our citizens, but with state share revenue being at risk, that we want to show the governor that we're going to be the first in line to comply.
Okay. I yield. Thank you, Mr. Melzik.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Stevens.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in looking into this, I went in on SEMCOG's website and access to Munetrix, and I see that we go back to, I'm actually looking at it right now, 2006, our data, there was a lot of communities that, have it for 2008, 2009, and that's it. And I also noticed that, in fact, every community, that their fiscal indicator scores are all climbing. So it's anything that's happening, it's statewide, and Warren actually looks pretty good when you compare it to other communities and stuff. This data, we're going to have to recreate some of this data?
Right. If you look at what the state's asking for, they're also asking for a lot of pension data, a lot of employee compensation type data that we do have, but we don't have it in the exact format that they want it. So we're going to have to, slice the data certain ways to get what they're asking for.
And so we're going to have to cut somebody loose to do this, or is this going to be like an additional duty?
And we just roll up our sleeves and do it with the people we have. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, it looks like we're on the cutting edge.
Right.
I mean,
yes, you correctly noted that there's most communities throughout, actually they have all 1,800 communities throughout the state of Michigan or whatever it is in there, and they literally, the way the Munetrix platform works, they extract the data directly from the state. And they started with 2008, and of course it lags a year behind. 2009 was made available only within about 3 weeks ago. 2010, as you correctly stated, we just finished our audit on, and our F65 is indeed done and submitted to the state. We will not get our score based on 2010 for yet another year. But the way Munetrix works is that we don't have to wait for the state to be finished with their analysis. We can do our own analysis. So what we do is we take our F65 data for 2010.
Just for the public's information, the F65 data is the revenue and expense trend report?
It's basically a fiscal report card that cities or local units of government have been submitting to the state for, I don't know, at least a couple of decades. And it also, let me clarify, in 2005 they changed that F-65 slightly. I actually provided Munetrix with 10 years of F-65s because I figured we may as well look back as far as we can. We only populated till 2005 because it's not apples for apples at that point. So we started there. And fortunately, and I'm glad Mr. List brought this out because the transparency component is very important here. But what's even more important is that we take the data that we have historically and we add future fiscal forecasting to it. So not only can we see where we've been, which of course is, I think, the intent of the governor and Mr. List as he brings out the transparency issue, but to see where we're going. And Mr. Malzak, as our city controller, is now able to take what we've compiled over the years and what we do every year when we do our financial reporting and actually put that to a tool to be used. And if I could add one more thing, if I could suggest to the maker of the motion, there is a Munetrix is available to anyone who goes to the site. You can look at the data, and again, as Mr. Stevens stated, the city of Warren, you'll find, has several more years populated because we voluntarily put it in. Auburn Hills and maybe a couple of others have actually intensively done that. But in order to use the tool for fiscal forecasting, Munetrix charges $3,500, but because we're partnered with SEMCOG, the cost is $1,500. So I would ask the maker of the motion if we could clarify that now, if we can continue to use this tool and have that very transparency, but also be able to use the fiscal forecasting aspect, that we could approve the $1,500 for the funding. I don't know if it would be appropriate to do it now or on a separate issue, but that's the cost for us to basically use this tool, the added tool part component.
Okay, the last question I have too. Is there a benchmark that everything is measured against as far as
yes,
discussed?
As I stated, every community in the state of Michigan, when the state publishes their numbers officially based on the F-65 data, they'll populate the entire state. So at that point, we're benchmarking ourselves with any community, and this is where the $1,500 tool comes in. The added component allows the city of Warren to select several other cities. We could do the ones that we traditionally benchmark ourselves with: Sterling Heights, Lansing, Dearborn, Livonia, and we literally just put those in our list. And every graph and chart and analysis is then benchmarked with those communities. So you really get to see the value for your dollar from a transparency perspective, where you're spending your money, where you're allocating your funds. And the other component, I don't know if Mr. List mentioned, that's part of the governor's spreadsheet, is a very detailed output graphs of spending and revenues. Munetrix has that very thing built in, and they're formatting so it'll be actually identical to the governor's output.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate
Madam
that.
Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Comartin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mr. Hartley. I really think that we need a statistical measurement for the future, especially with revenue, tax dollars changing, everything. We need some kind of forecast to look at it. I know we've had a 5-year projected plan, but it's different. I mean, looking at the breakdown of this, I was really impressed how it touches on federal contributions, state contributions. It really goes in very detail